Yeah. What it do, yeah? It's the Honorable Jones, not a Bantu or a Jew, but a El Kebulan kidnap that's ready for the get back. And welcome back to the Redeem or Destroy podcast, where we deal with facts over beliefs and awakening the minds of the kidnaps worldwide. Round of applause for that. Yeah. And tonight, let me get things situated. Tonight, we will be dealing with documented history. You hear me? This is not a sermon, not a tradition, and it's damn sure not a blood clot belief. We're gonna examine the works of the late Jordan Maxwell, RIP to the OG, a researcher who spent decades studying symbols, ancient systems, and the origin of religious narratives. Okay? Jordan Maxwell consistently pointed out that Moses was raised and educated in Egypt. That means Egyptian law, ethics, language, and culture shaped him long before Mount Sinai. And listen, I'm telling you guys this from now. Well, when we finish watching this video, you guys will have a totally different perspective of this book that you call the Word of God and the understanding of what's really going on in this world. Okay? And as we examine Egypt, we gonna find something that predates the Exodus. There's something called the Egyptian Negative Confessions. The moral code appeared in spelling 100 and 125. Excuse me. Let me recorrect that. The moral codes appear in the spell 125 Book of the Dead and dates back as far as the Old Kingdom, over 2,000 years before Christianity and centuries before the traditional date of Moses. Oh yeah, we're going to expose Moses today, okay? So, give you just a little example of what's in the confession, okay? The deceased did not ask for forgiveness. They declared what they did not do. I have not stolen. I have not murdered. I have not lied. I have not oppressed the poor. I have not polluted the water. Later, the Exodus says what? Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness. So hold on. Was this really the Word of God? Same moral structure, same pretext, just a different origin of story. Now, before I continue, I want you guys to grab yourself a popcorn, because this is gonna be one of those shows. This is gonna be one of those shows where we're going to expose the lies that has been told to the masses, mainly the black and brown, when it's pertaining to the Biblos, the barbaric book that was created to justify and for you to accept your enslavement, that justifies your destruction, pure genocide. That book promotes that. And you guys have been blinded, especially the black and browns, thinking that God did this for you. So before we even proceed with the video, I just want to ask you one question, and I want you guys to put this in the comments. Why would God put you guys through slavery when he sent his begotten son to die for the sins of all humanity? So why would he then allow his son to die so for no reason, and then make his so-called chosen, my chosen, you are a precious flock unto me? Why would he then allow those people to go into slavery? And let's not act like everybody was, being evil and wicked. And last but not least, if God saved the Israelites from the Egyptians, why haven't God saved the black people from the Euro Christians? We'll leave it as that as we proceed to watch this video. Like I said, guys, get your popcorn ready. This is about to be a good one. So you guys,
all right, I want to talk a bit about Moses, because Moses is very important to American law, because the United States operates on three premises. One, Roman government. Our government is Roman in style.
So I want you to understand what he's starting off. The presentation is to let you guys know that the so-called system that governs the entire Western world is literally based on the ideologies of the Biblos. Okay? So when everybody try to say any other thing foolish, like, yo, the world is not following the Bible, you're not doing, these are all lies. Everything is down to the T according to the Biblos. Listen carefully.
Our philosophy is Greek, and our laws are Jewish. And so Moses is very important.
He said the laws are Jewish. So the laws, statutes, and commandments are Jewish. So the governing laws of this world is Jewish. That explains why they put it into a decree that a man, a so-called who, can enslave somebody that's outside, but if they work for 7 years, they can, they have the option to be released and go on about their lives. That's what's in here. I want you guys to listen carefully. Let us continue.
To the laws of America, the Mosaic Law.
Just listen carefully, guys. And again, pardon, my computer is...
We know that Moses was given the law by God. He's the lawgiver and the leader of the children of Israel. And supposedly God gave Moses the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. And he comes down from Mount Sinai, bringing to the children of Israel the new law.
And just to chime in there, the new law basically means the new world order. The new world order that was going to structure the entire world. Because prior to these people being in control, they'll tell you, even in the story, the people that was running and ruling the world was people of color. So here comes a God giving them a new law, a new mindset, a new approach, a new way to function, a new way to control the masses. Listen carefully, guys. Listen carefully.
Actually, the 10 Commandments also, of which Moses is supposed to have gotten from God, the 10 Commandments are actually based on the Egyptian negative confessions,
which I was just reading prior. So anybody that's just now coming in, just know that this is where the so-called commandment, this is just one piece of the story of the commandments. Okay, They got the same story in something called the Syrian Mist, because that's what the man was. His name wasn't Moses, it was Missy or something like that. Okay? The Egyptian negative confession goes side by side with the Ten Commandments. And it also predates the Ten Commandments. Let us continue.
Do some research at the library or on the web on the subject of Egyptian negative confessions. And you'll find that the Egyptian negative confessions was the laws in Egypt, and they're almost identical to the Ten Commandments. So that's probably where we get the Ten Commandments, is from Egypt. And here's just a classic example of the comparing the Egyptian negative confessions to the Hebrew laws from Moses.
Which I just read to you guys. I just told you that. So just to know, just for you guys to understand where we're going and what's really going on, this had to be said. And shout out to the OG. May the ancestors of his kind guide him to wherever he needs to be guided to. But these are the things that we need to start exposing. We have to start exposing the lies.
So the Mosaic Law. Moses, the lawgiver. All right, we have Moses, the lawgiver, in the legislative chambers of all across America and all the states. In the federal government, we have statues of Moses being the lawgiver. Not even mentioning, of course, the Vatican and all over the world. Moses is respected as the great lawgiver. Supreme Court, you see Moses holding the two laws, the tablets. Interesting, too, is that Moses...
So for those that's still waiting for the kingdom of Jesus, the kingdom is right here, right now, as we speak. I don't know what you guys are listening to. I don't know what you guys are believing, but whatever you have been told over the last decade or so has been a complete lie. Let us continue.
When first given the law from God, he, on the tablets, he threw them down and broke the tablets, so he was the first lawbreaker. This is where we get the idea that you break the law. As I said, here's Moses, the lawgiver, depicted in the U.S. House of Representatives. Why does Moses have horns? Now, I have some interesting questions about Moses. Let's start with his horns. A lot of people don't know that Moses was always pictured with horns. This is in the Vatican.
So, again, why is Moses having horns? What is he giving reference to? And if he has horns, and the God that gave him the ideology knows that he has horns, what is the message that's being told? Like I tell you guys before, you don't know what you are worshiping. You don't know. All you guys are just doing is copying and pasting. But I'm not going to put the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse. We're just going to listen.
Churches, you will always see Moses. Anytime he's portrayed, you'll see him with horns.
Mm-hmm.
On the Sinai Peninsula, the horns represent the crescent moon. The moon in its lower quarter resembles horns, as this encyclopedia talks about the lunar phase when the horns of the crescent moon point up at the angle. So the horns are actually the moon in the lower quarter. And we will see the god of the moon. His name was Sin. We'll get to him in just a moment. You'll see the...
What did he just say? Did he just say the moon god name was Sin? S-I-N? Yeah. Well, let the OG speak. Let him speak.
Goddess is wearing the moon horns. Native Americans, of course, Native American chiefs wore horns. This
Oh, and just a FYI, right? Just to throw that out there. The Native Americans came from Asia, which migrated from the Middle East. That's why if you see a lot of um, Native Americans, they can pass for the light-skinned pale Arabs. I mean, the history behind their story is so all over the place that you really gotta just take one piece and connect the dots. It's gonna take a long time, but you have to pay attention to the images, the facial features, the hair texture. All of that plays a pivotal role.
why they would count their days. Native Americans would count their days from sundown to
I'm gonna have to change it and put it onto this.
Indian chiefs wore the lunar horns of many moons. And of course the Vikings kept the same identical idea. The Vikings had the moon horns. And it was, as I said, the lower quarter of the moon was in the shape of horns. And so establishing that the lower quarter of the moon, the horns, now we get into the actual archaeological findings. We see the moon being pictured on coins.
Keyword, archaeological findings, which means that these things have been proven already. But when it comes to proving, stuff to justify claims that's being told by black people pertaining to the Bible, there's no archaeological evidence. And their excuses is, well, they took everything, they burned everything. We hearing all of this. These are all lies, bro. All of it is lies. The Josephus writer is a liar all throughout the book. The man never walked with Jesus whatsoever. Just to let you know.
Here's hands raised, worshiping the moon. These are ancient findings in archaeology. Here's the moon on its boat as it floats through the sky in the ancient Egyptian idea. Here's the Virgo, the Virgin, the constellation of Virgo, connected to the lower quarter of the moon. The moon god above the three in the middle. So the lower quarter of the moon has taken on the...
And I want to throw this out there. The part where the three in the middle, that was where the origin of Islam originated from. Okay? This is before it was Allah, it was Allah. It was three deities, three sisters. Okay? And they all reference the moon. That's why everything is done at night. That's why they put their head inside the vagina, because the sun is a reflection of man, a reflection of a man, and the moon is a reflection of a female. I just wanted to just throw that out there so you guys cannot be confused. Let us continue.
The appearance of horns. And here...
My apologies, guys, when it freezes. Just bear with it. We'll be right back.
Basically is talking about an ancient cult of the moon. And, of course, in Islam, Allah is connected to the moon cult. Now, if you go to the Google,
like I just said,
for instance, if you go to Google and type in moon god Sin, because the actual name of the old Arabian moon god his name was Sin, S-I-N. Sin was the Semitic moon god's name. So as I said, if you go to Google and just type in moon god sin, S-I-N, you'll see there's over 1 million entries just on that one subject.
And when you look, you see, when you look into the mirror, on the screen, you see Allah, moon god, Alat, moon god, Sin, moon god, Yah, Yah, all praises Yah. Yah means moon in Egypt, also in reference to the moon god. So everything that surrounds you is going back to the moon god. I just wanted to set the foundation. We setting up the stage, guys. Let's continue.
Then if you put into Google, say S-I-N equals Allah, you'll get about 1,270,000 entries talking about the moon god Allah. And here's another one. This one's like 3.25 million if you put in moon god Allah. So Allah, or Sin, S-I-N, was a moon god in ancient Arabia. Here's another one. If you put in Islamic moon god, you get 198,000 entries. Here the Catholic Church even uses the crescent moon. As I said, the moon god's name was Sin. Sin, the moon god, was a god chiefly venerated in the pre-Christian civilization in southern Arabia. It is significant. The lower part of this paragraph, it says, it is significant that the Semites of the great caravan city of Palmyra in the first 3 centuries of the Christian era also gave high priority to the worship of the moon.
The worship unto the what? Unto the moon. From sundown to sundown, right? So when it's sundown, you're starting your celebration and your honor and your respect to what's up in the air at sundown, which would be the moon. And you go off that and you go back to reality when it's sundown again, which is the moon. You don't know what you're worshiping, but we're going to know today.
And there again we see that the moon god's name is Sin. Now, one dictionary, or actually it's an encyclopedia on symbols, talks about the moon god Sin. It says, if Moses climbed Mount Sinai to meet the resident god, then the god he met would have been the moon god Sin, who had been in...
I want to pause this right here, and I want you guys to read it. If Moses climbed Mount Sinai to meet the resistant God, then the God he would have been the moon god Sin, who had been enthroned on the mountain since the rise of Samaria. Not Hebrew, not Israel, not nothing. Samaria, and gave his name to it. In fact, Sin gave his name to the whole Sinai Peninsula, formerly the land of Sin. Isaiah 49 verse 12. Again, I'm not going to read all of it. You read it. But I want you guys to just hear this. I'm going to say this throughout the entire broadcast. You don't know what you are worshiping. Let us continue.
Thrown on that mountain since the rise of Samaria, and gave...
You don't know what you worshiping. Facts. Not one, not two.
Primitive lunar deity of Arabia. So Yahweh, the God of the ancient Hebrews, is actually the old god of the mountain, Sin, the moon.
Did you just hear what he said? Yahweh is the moon god, Sin. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahakakakakaka, the boo bop, the bop bop, boop boop doop doop. It's sin. You know the sin that they say you're not supposed to have, right? The world is filled with sin. Oh man, you guys don't know what's going on, really, huh? But Junes is the bad guy, right? Junes has been corrupted, has been possessed, overtaken. No, Junes had deconstruct and broken out of the matrix.
God.
Junes broke out that matrix, guys. I can see clearly now. These heathens is gone.
So we see this, here's another one, another cuneiform picture from the ancient Sumerian showing the god Sin receives the homage of two of his worshippers. You'll see the moon in the lower quarter, and that's the moon god Sin. And as I said, in the ancient Arabian system of moon worship, a mountain was Ai. So you take the mountain Ai and connect it to the god Sin, it becomes Sin Ai, or Mount Sinai.
Uh-oh.
Mount Sinai is simply the moon god Sin and his mountain, which is spelled Ai.
Uh-oh. Did you guys hear that? I hope you guys are taking notes. And everything is there for you to do your research. You don't gotta listen to me. You don't gotta listen to Jordan. You can do your own homework. You can do your own homework and see exactly what's really going on. Because again, you don't know what you are worshiping.
Worship of the moon god. So, we see that originally Yahweh, the last sentences in yellow says the original Yahweh was only another form of this primitive lunar deity of Arabia. So that's why today in America we spell synagogue S-Y-N, but originally the correct spelling is S-I-N, not S-Y-N. That's why if you go to Israel and going to a Jewish synagogue, it's spelled S-I-N, because it's the worship of the moon god, Sin, the house of the god Sin. Here's a synagogue in Israel. You zoom in on it, it's spelled S-I-N, not S-Y-N. So you'll find all over the world except in America.
And if you run the tape back, because I forgot to pause it, I don't want to do too much pausing, but if you run the tape back, you're gonna see that it still got that same symbol that you guys been brainwashed to believe that it stood for Sunini, N-I-N-I. No, that's really was S-I-N. That's what that is. Please, guys, do not associate African cosmology with European ideology. Please, let's put an end to that. After this video tonight, we're going to put an end to that. Okay? Let's go.
All over the world, synagogues are spelled S-I-N in honor of.
We putting an end to that, guys. 2026 Babylonian time, putting an end to that. It's over for that.
See that in the Jewish tradition, it's always used the symbolism of the moon, even on their sacred or blessed symbols, amulets. You will see the worship, their hands raised, worshiping the moon. So the phases of the moon were very important in the ancient Phoenician, Canaanite, Hebrew tradition. Here you see the priest lighting a fire to the signal for the new moon. Moon worship was very important in the ancient Israel.
Isn't there a part of the Bible where brothers and sisters gather for the new moon? Nobody ever asked that. Nobody ever asks why are black people, whether you claiming to be a Bantu or a Jew, is subjected into following the new moon? Yeah.
In the ancient Hebrew. Even during the Middle Ages, We see the Jewish cycle of the moon being celebrated. Lots and lots of material and pictures on the worship by the Hebrews of the moon god Sin. Above you'll see a carving, blessing of the new moon. So in Sinai, as I said, was a large and very high mountain range in the middle of Sinai. And from the east, you could look east and you would see the moon coming up and over that mountains. And so the ancient peoples believed that the moon lived in the mountain, and the moon god's name was Sin, and the mountain was spelled Ai. Put the two together, it becomes Mount Sinai. So that's who Moses would have been going up to see when he went up into the mountain to get the law. He would have been going up to see the moon god Sin. As a matter of fact, it's called Sin Ai or Sinai. So, the moon god Sin.
So, this is the question that I'm gonna pose to the Bantu believers. So, if it's Sinai, what is the Bantu version? What is the East Coast term for Sinai? I'll wait for it. Please, I'll wait for it.
It's the first part of the real story of Moses. Moses was the leader of the lunar cult, worshippers of the moon god Sin. A mountain in the ancient language was Ai. Put the two together, and it becomes Mount Sinai. Go back to Google again and just put Moses, the moon deity. And you'll find there's 318,000 entries talking about Moses and Mount Sinai.
So it seems like the entire world knows about the actual story of Moses and the counterfeits and the introductions and all of that. But it seems that the only people that's lost and confused is us. The only ones that's fighting and trying to uphold the story that they can't prove is us. It's completely pathetic. But I have to play this video for you guys so you guys can get an understanding of what's really going on, of what you're really praying to, and to why you're giving all your energy into a deity that's uplifting a particular group of people while you're suffering in the process. Let's make it make sense. Let's continue.
Moses and moon worship.
Gotta make it make sense, guys. You gotta make it make sense. That's all I ask you guys to do. Just make it make sense.
Connected to moon worship, the moon god Sin, Ai. Now we're looking at Moses, another feature of Moses that a lot of people don't know anything about, and that is Moses was also connected to volcano worship. So we have the moon, and now we have volcanoes. Volcanoes themselves were very powerful symbols in the ancient world. They still frighten people today. On the volcano, in this particular encyclopedia of symbols, says, like any other impressive and fearful aspect of nature, volcanoes have been the object of worship for human beings from the earliest Stone Age. So volcanoes have always been symbols of worship. And again, yet the original Yahweh seems to have begun as a volcano god also. Mount Sinai, where Moses encountered him, was the seat of the Midianite god, who had formerly dwelt in a volcano. So we're seeing that Moses, when he encounters Yahweh on Mount Sinai, along with being a moon god, we also see that Moses was involved in volcano worship. And even books today talking about Mount Sinai show mountains on fire. The only time you see a mountain on fire is a volcano. Even one book is called The Mountain of Fire. Moses took stones. Here we have a picture of Moses with the stone tablets. And that looks to me to be a volcano behind him. Does it look like a volcano to you? This is from Hebrew and Jewish books for children, Bible pictures, Moses in front of a volcano. Here we have Mount Sinai. Jehovah performed signs for the Hebrews. Does that look like a volcano to you? There's another one with the children of Israel camped at Mount Sinai, where Jehovah or Yahweh was the volcano god.
Yes, Yahushai, or Yeshaya, or Ahaya, or they tell you now it done made its way to Africa. So it's Sunini, Modimo. This was what was on the mountaintop. This is the story that they got you believing. This right here. This right here. Okay.
There's another picture of the volcano in eruption. And so we got plenty of pictures of this throughout religious literature. You'll always see Moses in a volcano. So does that look like a volcano to you? Here's one Hebrew telling another one to look at the volcano. Volcanoes, of course, had lightning associated with them. Israel and Mount Sinai dedicated itself to Jehovah. So here the Hebrews the volcano god that Moses was going up to see. Here's Moses up in the volcano. Here's another picture of the children of Israel running away from God because he was scaring them. Of course, I would be scared too if you were that close to a volcano. So we have pictures, like I said, we have many, many pictures of Moses in connection with the volcano worship. Here's another one. Jehovah led the sons of Israel to the mountain named Sinai. Does that look like a volcano to you? So we know that Moses and the story of Moses also dealt with volcano worship. That is history. We also know that Moses had other sides to him too. Now here in the Jewish Encyclopedia, the symbols for the different holy days, and in the lower right hand you will see the feast of the giving of the law. So here we have the feast of the giving of the law, which also coincides with the first fruits. And does that appear to be a volcano to you? Looks like a volcano to me, and it also
just seeing all of that. The question that I gotta ask my brothers and sisters: can somebody explain how does this ties with black people? Put it in the comments and let me know. Like, I really want to know. Yeah.
has lightning, as you will see, has lightning all around it. And of course, like I said, that's typical because lightning does accompany volcanoes. Now this is taken from a Hebrew reference work on the symbols of the holy days. And here is a symbol for the feast of the giving of the law to Moses. That appears to be, to me, a volcano with lightning strikes all around it. The word volcano comes from the Latin volcano god Vulcan, or Vulcanus. It's derived from an old Cretan deity named Vulcanus. Here's Vulcanus of Vulcan, the volcano god, holding in his hands the lightning and the hammer of Thor. So with the hammer and the lightning bolts, the old ancient volcano god Vulcan frightened the whole world. He was the god of the mountain. Prometheus was also a volcano god whose worshippers took him to Greece, while Yahweh, the Hebrew god, was also a volcano god whose worshippers took him to Judah. So Prometheus, Yahweh, all of these were ancient gods of the volcano. Tribes living on the slopes of the fallout area of an active volcano, promoted the smoking home to the status of a tribal goddess, and regularly threw their captive enemies into the lava-filled lava in the hope of dissuading her from erupting over them. One such volcano in Anatolia was Mount Yahweh, whose worshippers were the Jews.
His worshippers was the what? And then when you read the book of Revelations, it says what? That those that was not found in the book of life was thrown in the lake of fire. What creates the lake of fire? Again, you don't know what you're worshiping. I know.
We find that Mount Yahweh was changed to Mount Yahweh. His worshippers took the volcano god with them when they invaded Babylonians and drove them out of Anatolia and into Phoenicia. So, again, just to reiterate, yet the original Yahweh, the ancient Hebrew god Yahweh, seems to have begun as a volcano god. Here we have God, Yahweh, on the fiery mountain with lightning all around, chiseling out the 10 Commandments for Moses. And this is God with his hammer, and you'll see the mountains on fire with lightning, just like volcanoes or Vulcan.
Just real quick, you notice that none of these images are images of people of color, right? But it yet is the people of color that will literally breathe, eat, sleep, shit, and fight for this right here. Even though they can't prove, none of this can trace back to their heritage, their culture, their color, their language, their perception, their viewpoints, etc. I know.
The volcano god. One and the same thing. So Moses was going up to a volcano to get the law. So we're talking about the law of the volcano god Vulcan. He was also identified with the local moon god Sin, as we said before, the moon god worship, after whom the mount was named. But then in Exodus 13 it says the appearance of Yahweh was as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. So in the book of Exodus, we are told that Yahweh always appeared to his people Israel as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And so here it is in the book of Exodus. We read, "And the Lord went before them, Israel, by day in a pillar of cloud." This is from the Bible, in the book of Exodus. "To lead them the way, and by night a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night, from before the people." So the pillar of cloud by day, obviously a volcano. Pillar of cloud by day is a volcano. Pillar of fire by night is a volcano. So we read that in other reference works in the Bible, it says, "The magnificence of Yahweh was like a devouring fire on top of the mountain. And the people said, we heard his orders from the middle of the flames." So right down to the Babylonian captivity, Yahweh remained primarily a volcano god. And in Psalms it says, "I called upon Yahweh and cried out to my Allah, and heard my voice in his temple, and the land shook and trembled." So we see that Moses was dealing with, when he went up into the mountain to get the 10 Commandments, the volcano god Vulcan.
Damn, I know this is like, it's like literally like a tough pill to digest at this moment, because all of this is just hurting your head. I know. I know. This is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. This is the reason why we're deconstructing. This is the reason why we're pushing back, because of the information that we are now receiving. All glory goes to the ancestors, to the creators, and to all the fallen deities that hover over us, that guide us and protect us and remove us from this wickedness. Because again, you guys don't know what you're worshiping. Let us continue.
And here are just some
You don't know what y'all worshiping. All this bickering and fighting can't prove nothing. I'm giving it to you tonight. Yeah, get mad.
the noise thereof telleth. We feel his presence in the thunder. There's all kinds of scriptures in the Old Testament talking about they heard, like on 37:2, hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound goeth out of his mouth. The bottom, number 4, it says, and after it a voice roared, he thundered with his voice of his excellence. God thunders marvelously with his voice. So I'm just showing that there are many different scriptures that talk about God speaking to his people in thunder. God thunders marvelously with his voice. And here again in Job 37, it says, the storm, the clouds, God's tent, gathered as the thunder or the voice of Yahweh roars. They descend, and God shoots the arrows of his lightning or thunderbolts. God thunders wonderfully with his voice.
And prior to that, he just told you that, you know, the story of Thor. Remember, fallen angel came down and wreak havoc on earth. Similar to what you guys are seeing here. When you read the scriptures for where it's supposed to be, you'll see that this God came out of nowhere, put Adam on the earth, taught Enoch, did etc., gave Abraham, had Isaac, had Jacob, allowed them to be disobedient to their mother and their father. Then, when you go to Joseph, he made the children of Israel sell the brother. The brother's in Egypt. From that moment on, he's doing whatever, right? But the main point is, even with Moses was chosen, and he was a flat-out murderer. Like, he was a murderer. He murdered. So he chose a murderer to lead you guys. And he came down and wreaked havoc, similar to what Thor do, right? When you watch the movies, the Avengers or any Marvel movie, when Thor's come down, when he came down, he was destroying shit. They always got to pay homage to their gods. But who's your God, black man? And I don't want to say black no more. Who's your God, colored man? Who's your God, fellow comrade? Who is he? Is he even a he? Yeah. Let us continue.
All of these references in the Bible are talking about the God of the mountain. And that's the way Yahweh was pictured. So interesting that God in the English transliteration of the Latin word Deus. Deus is an alternate spelling of the Greek word Zeus. So when you use the word God in the English, it comes from a Latin word Deus. Just understand, God comes from the Latin word Deus, and Deus is an alternate spelling of the Greek god Zeus. Deus, Zeus. God is Zeus, the god of thunder and lightning. From all kinds of reference work, you can see that our word God comes from Zeus.
But, my bad, guys. I had to go pour some more wine. But, yeah. But at the same time, these same people are telling you that, replace God with Yahweh Shai or Lord or Jesus or Mesindisi or Sunini or whoever. Again, taking African cosmology and mixing it with European ideology. It is absurd. It is absurd. It is absurd. It's beyond nuts and wild. And yet, everybody that's going to question what's being said here, you're getting nothing but resources so you can do your own homework. Where is your resources that you can provide to justify that this book took place in Africa? Don't give me locations. Don't say, look at the locations. Your land has not been yours for over 1,200 years. So we're not doing that. We know what the missionaries and the mercenaries was doing when they was in Africa. While you was trying to get your feet and life together, they was putting shit together so they can reign supreme forever. Are you dumb or are you dumb? Let us continue.
So there is Zeus with the...
And I say this again, guys. You don't know what you're worshiping. Let us continue. And I got all this.
Burning with fire. They were frightened because God was talking to them. Actually, no, it was just a volcano. Moses and the volcano god Vulcan. And of course, that's what you get with a volcano, is a lot of lightning and thunder. And I can see why it would have frightened people. Lightning can be symbolized by means of an arrow. So much for Moses and the volcano god Vulcan. Oh, and one more point about Moses and the volcano god. Vulcan, the volcano god, there's a symbol in the ancient Hebrew that's still used today. Mr. Spock, as you will recall, here we have Vulcan. Mr. Spock is a Vulcan. And that hand symbol is used in Hebrew religion today. It's a very interesting symbol. And why would...
And the person that played this character was also a full-fledged three-letterman. You could see it in his face. He wasn't Hispanic. He wasn't your European base. He was them. He was one of them. See, all these things have been in your face for years. You just was not able to put two and two together because we all have been distracted by lies. This is why I tell brothers and sisters, stop saying you found the truth. What truth? There's no truth on this earth. Everything has been a lie. Even down to the book that you're reading, it is a lie. It can't be backed by anything outside of religious texts. It can't. Like if I were to tell you, prove that Jesus exists, you would have to go to a religious source. You wouldn't be able to go to a Roman census. You wouldn't be able to identify and show me where did Mary live, where did she live the rest of her days. And you guys jumped quick to defend something, and all we do is ask questions. And it's like, yo, bro, if a man died for the sins of this world and everybody's seen him resurrected, and they know that he came out of this woman right here, you don't think that they would have been following and making sure that this woman was taken care of, protected, etc., etc.? There's no story of when the Jerusalem compassed with armies fleeing off to the mountains. Did she not flee? Did they no? There's no information about that, bro. None of it whatsoever. The only thing that you're getting is this is what it is. This is what you gotta believe. And if you don't believe, you're gonna burn in the lake of fire. The volcanoes. You still didn't put it together. I know. Let us continue though.
Mr. Spock be using a Hebrew symbol and calling him
He's a full-fledged 3-letterman.
Literature everywhere. It's called the benediction symbol, the blessing symbol. So the rabbis will bless the congregation after the service with this hand sign. Here's a Pentateuch scroll crown with the hands raised in the priestly blessing. Here we see the Lord is high, and he looks upon the lowly. And you'll see the Hebrew priest giving the blessing. Here in the synagogue in downtown Los Angeles, you will see the prophet giving the blessing.
And from the look of the place that he got on, he will be labeled a Levi. But I want you guys to just pay attention to something. You see the nose right there? You see the nose? You see the man on top of him? You see he's putting the fingers like this? Doesn't Jesus put his finger like this? The peace? I found out that the peace sign is demonic as well. The peace sign, his hands like this. I mean, come on, guys. I can't make this stuff up. You guys know exactly what's going on. You guys are aware of this. But you guys want to be naive and want to be misguided. You want to be spoon-fed. That's exactly what it is, guys. I understand where the religious people coming from. You guys literally are mimicking what the book told you to do, was accept the smooth things, the subtle things, and you want it to be given unto you by subtle people. And if it comes with a level of aggression, it can't be geared towards you. It has to be geared towards the people you perceive that took your identity, the people you perceive is putting you in oppression, the people you perceive to believe that violated. But meanwhile, the people that did all of that also are the ones that gave you this book. But your argument is, nah, bro, that's our story, man. They stole it, they plagiarized, they did this. How do you know that? In order for you to claim such thing, you must be able to provide documentations. Nobody's providing documentations. Nothing. Nothing, not one, not two, zero. So at that moment, it's literally your belief. You're believing this. You can't, when you can't prove something, it falls into the demographics of belief. If you can't prove it physically, it comes into a belief. That's why religion is a foundation of belief. Because you can't prove that Allah exists. You can't prove that Jesus exists. You can't prove that God, volcanoes and all of this. You can't prove this. You can't prove that this God that's being spoken of in this book goes back to Africa and African people, bro. You can't prove it. So it's a belief. Let's continue.
The Hebrew hand sign.
And shout out to all those that's tuning in and all the supporters. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate it.
Because Hebrew religion is also based on the worship of the old volcano god at Sinai, Sin-Ai, the moon god, the volcano god, the Vulcan. But where does this hand sign come from? Comes from the split hoof of a goat. The split hoof of a goat is also connected in the most ancient world with Hinduism and with the worship of Vulcan, the volcano god.
Now do you get understanding why, the greatest players are always considered the GOAT, right? And why your child is being referred to as a kid? Because a goat, a sheep are all cattle, and all of those things are meant to be sacrificed unto Vulcan. I know.
The split hoof of a goat is used in the Hebrew religion. That's where it comes from. All of this is very, very involved, but I'm just giving you the basic concepts for which you can go and do your own research on where these symbols and words have come from. The goat god. We also have the worship of the goat god, Baphomet. And here is an interesting point too, is that the goat god, or Vulcan, the goat god is being worshipped here, as you can see. Even in the Bible it has the man riding the goat, which is a familiar Masonic symbol too.
But yet, when I tell you that all of this is tied together, and when you try to put African cosmology with European philosophy, you're disrespecting what we do, what we did, our practices. And if we was following this similar fugazi, there was no reason for them to enslave you. There was no reason for them to invade you. They would have worked side by side with you. Now that explains why you have yet to be saved 400 years later. Yeah, let us continue. And I'm going to say it again. You guys don't know what you are worshiping. You really don't know.
Of the goat god.
And I know I'm cutting in and out, but you see, and it says the devil, right? The devil and Lucifer is two different things, right? So we know that the devil goes back to volcanoes, the Mount Sinai, and Lucifer is Jesus, the morning star. You can find that in Revelation chapter 22, verse 13 or verse 16. He tells you that himself. I am Jesus, the morning star. And you notice that he tells you that at the end of the story. Because when it's at the end of the story, you've already been brainwashed. So when you see that, you don't even know that he's telling you that he's Lucifer himself. How is thou fallen, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Moon. Son of the morning. Morning. When do you mourn? When it's dark. Not the morning, no. When it's dark. The moon. Yeah. Get upset. Be pissed off. Act like Jones don't know what he's talking about. Like I ain't been doing this for over 10 plus years. This is light work. But it's time for you guys to start putting in the work. And start realizing what we need to do together to make our freedom work. Because all this sit still and wait for a kumbaya, somebody to come from the sky like the moon. Keep waiting. Because that kingdom that you're waiting for is already here right now. Let us continue.
So, we've looked at Moses.
My apologies again, guys.
The home of the lunar moon god, but is also Mount Sinai was connected, as we saw, to volcano worship also. Next we saw Moses as the leader of the ancient volcano cult. Then we saw the volcano god's son Vulcan, still with us today on TV. Let's examine another side of Moses before we leave him. Moses and mushrooms. Moses, we're told in the book of Genesis and in the Pentateuch, led the children of Israel out into the wilderness, and they were fed each day with something called manna from heaven. We have pictures of the Hebrews collecting manna from heaven. And the manna from heaven they would pick up in the morning. We're told that manna is actually, the word manna in Hebrew means, what is it? It's because obviously the children of Israel didn't know what it was. But the Bible reference work says whatever it was small, round, flaky, is white, and obviously it came from heaven. So the manna from heaven, the word manna meant what is it? And whatever it was small, round, flaky, and white. Here they are picking the manna from heaven off the ground. And we're told that the children of Israel would eat the manna. Here it is even in Exodus 16. And the account in the Bible says, "And when the dew that lay on the ground was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, small as hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, It is manna, for they did not know what it was. And so Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat." And across in the reference work it says, "It is manna," simply meaning, what is it? For they knew not what it was. Well, it's very simple. What manna from heaven actually was small round things picked up in the morning dew. We have many, many pictures of this taking place. Small round things being picked up in the morning dew, even in the ancient.
And yet not a single image of somebody being black. Yeah. Still don't see it, but let us continue.
In medieval world, they showed Jews picking them small round things in the morning dew. What would that be if it wasn't? Manna from heaven was in fact a small round thing, mushrooms. When the dew that lay on the ground was gone up, well, that's when mushrooms usually form on the ground as small round things in the morning dew. So what we're talking about here is mushrooms. There's a bunch of mushrooms. This is the Amanita muscara, a very famous mushroom, hallucinogenic mushroom. Andrei Paharik in his book, The Sacred Mushroom, Key to the Door of Eternity, the search for the secret plant used to send the mind to another world and into the future. Here we see, even in the ancient Egyptians, you will see the gods, and in India also, the gods using the mushroom. Soma, the divine mushroom of immortality. The word soma simply means, the history of magic mushroom is known the world over. Again, it was called the food of the gods.
Make sure you guys get these books, because I don't want to hear anything and no arguments without you doing the extensive researching, documentations, and studying. Put these ideologies down. If you're still reading the Bible and you still want to hold on to the fairy tale, which is cool, but also create space for these books right here. Okay? Let's continue.
There are many, many books talking about the magic mushroom in relation to the ancient Hebrew and the ancient Christian congregations. The mystery of the manna. Manna was the mushrooms. The small round things in the morning dew. Many, many books, many reference works on this subject of the plant of the gods, the food of the gods. Here's some articles written in Israel. There's quite a few articles that have been written in papers and magazines in Israel talking about Moses actually on psychedelic drugs and leading the people to those sacred mushrooms. This is from a newspaper article. Hebrew University researcher says Moses was tripping at Mount Sinai, showing that even in Israel they're publishing articles about when you start doing your research and really looking into what the story of Moses is all about. It's about a moon cult. It's about a volcano cult. It's about...
So the story of Moses goes back to the moon. So, but like I told you, the Egyptian negative confession predates everything that Moses was bringing forth, which leads to my understanding that everything that has been put into the Bible that has a significant purpose and reason was literally stolen from other cultures, bro. So if it was stolen from other cultures, what the heck does that have to do with me? With us as El Kebulin? What does this story have to do with us? Absolutely nothing. Just a bunch of weirdos trying to tie in this ideology with El Kebulin cosmology. It would never work.
hallucinogenic mushrooms. There's another one talking about...
And I gotta pause it for the copyright strikes and all that. So forgive me when I do that in advance.
Beat him to it. Even as far back as the in the Bible in Genesis 1 talks about Adam and Eve. Well, here Adam and Eve is pictured in a church in France with the tree of knowledge being mushroom, a big mushrooms. Christian fresco showing Amanita muscaria as a tree of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. So a lot of people do not know that all around Europe and in the Middle East, Adam and Eve are pictured getting their wisdom and knowledge from the tree of good and evil, which is actually a mushroom. Here it is in a church, Adam and Eve with the mushrooms. All kinds of pictures on this, but this kind of knowledge is not given to Christians or Jews. But if you want to do some homework, you'll find that Moses was, and the story of the manna from heaven goes back to the sacred mushroom. Here's pictures of Adam and Eve taking pieces of the mushroom from the snake in the Garden of Eden. And there you'll see the Amanita muscaria mushroom as a backdrop to Adam and Eve. These pictures are replete throughout the ancient world and the European churches, religious institutions. All of these people know that the mushroom was part of the story.
But they gave you the Apple story. Then they gave you a phone with the apple being bitten behind it. You don't find that suspicious?
You don't find that suspicious. You don't find that suspicious. You don't find that suspicious.
So why am I saying that? The reason why I'm saying that is because, as you guys can see, everything that they have given us has been something else. Stories, contradiction, lies after lies. You guys are seeing it firsthand. And it's going to still be a lot of you guys that's going to want to argue and try to justify this philosophy. Like I said, you can do whatever you want to do, but I'm here to bring the facts and give you guys the real point of view. You understand? So let us continue.
You'll see mushrooms in the middle. And here's
It's my hard drive. My memory hard drive. Because every time it stops.
So all of this mushroom use was in the Old Testament. But what about today, modern day? Let's look at the Christian church today.
Mm-hmm.
There are books like The Holy Mushroom, Evidence of Mushrooms in Judeo-Christianity. John Allegro, one of the three top men in the deciphering of the Dead Sea Scrolls, John Allegro, wrote a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross was a study of the nature and origins of Christianity within the fertility cults of the ancient Near East. Fertility cults? Yep.
So again, I'm going to say this one more time. You guys don't know what you are worshiping. It's deeper than what you think. They purposely want you guys to always receive information in base face level. They never want you to go down that rabbit hole, because if you go down that rabbit hole, you're instantly, automatically, organically going to deconstruct. And if you're not under their control, then that prophecy of Matthew 24, when it says, you shall be persecuted for my name's sake, the persecution is not coming because you accept Jesus. The persecution is going to come because you denounce Jesus. That's what that scripture was telling you. In the end times, you're going to hear wars, rumors of wars, and you're going to be persecuted for my name's sake. Do you accept me as your Lord and Savior? Nah, I'm good. Persecute him. Throw him in jail. Unalive him. Lynch him. Burn him, etc. Just because I or you or we don't want to follow or believe the ideology. What does that sound like today? Don't that sound like the behavior that people like us are doing now? Right? When we don't believe into something that you're bringing forth, we at odds, we at friction. Mind you, we know that this word of God has been plagiarized, the whole shebang, but nobody wants to admit the issue. And this is why we're suffering.
Fertility cults. And here's some beautiful and it says in Matthew 26:26 in the Bible, it says, while they were eating, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, and broke it and gave it to the disciples, saying, take and eat, this is my body. Interesting that the word body, take and eat, this is my body, Jesus said. The word body,
listen carefully.
here it is again in the King James Version.
The favorite book that all these black folks, Hebrew Israelites, all those want to run to. Pay attention. Listen carefully.
Matthew 26:26 says, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to his disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. Well, the point being is that the word body is a word soma, and soma means mushroom. So in a Bible dictionary, look up the word soma, and it will say it's body, which means a mushroom. So here we have Jesus feeding his apostles mushrooms. Here's in the Middle Ages, in the medieval church, you'll see the mushroom around the saint. Here's a mushroom table, the Amanita muscara table of mushrooms. Modern day paintings of Jesus dying on a mushroom. Christmas is Jesus' birthday, so naturally the symbol of the mushroom will match. So all over the world, in Christmas, and especially in Russia, the mushroom is used as a symbol in Christmas. Santa Claus on the mushroom. Mushroom symbols. Always the red with the white polka dot, which is Amanita muscara for Christmas. It's quite literally everywhere, but most people don't see these things. They're not looking.
And the reason why they don't see it is because they was put in I believe trance. You gotta believe you can fly. This is what goes on with this ideology. In order for you to be accepted into the fold of whatever organization / cult you are in, the first thing that you have to do, you have to believe in the doctrine. And if you don't believe, then you're unfit. You are you are the bad fruit, or the et cetera, et cetera. But in reality, are you really the bad fruit? Or are you the person that no longer wants to eat the fugazi? Think about that.
For them. But mushroom use by the so much for the mushrooms of Christmas. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year with a Amanita muscara mushroom. So in conclusion, we see that Moses leading his people, the children of Israel, fed them with manna from heaven. The manna from heaven that they were picking from the ground every morning was a mushroom. With this knowledge, we can see the logic of the headdress of the ancient Hebrew priest. In the ancient world, the priest, different priests, not only Hebrews, wore mushroom headdresses.
And again, as you guys see these outfits, I want you to ask yourself, how do you know that your ancestors was wearing these outfits? When there's not a single image, there's not a single designer, nothing that was created that can trace you back to this dress down right here. You guys be out here looking like Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. And don't even know where the origin, the creation of your outfit, where does it come from? Where does the idea come from?
Here, the Jewish priest with the mushroom cap to symbolize the importance of the magic kings, potentates, and high priests always had mushroom headdresses. So much for that looks like a mushroom upside down on that priest's head. Here's mushroom worshippers for Jesus. And here's a mushroom head. He looks like he's been on it for some time, too. Look at these goofballs with their mushroom headdress, and they're so profoundly ignorant, they have no idea.
Shout out to Jordan, man. Shout out, round of applause to that. My son is flat out calling people out their names. Like, look at these goofballs. Like, shout out. This is the ideology that we need in order for us to gain our independence and total freedom from this captivity. Shout out to the OG, man.
In the world what they're wearing. They're wearing mushrooms on their head. So that should tell you something about their philosophy of life. And of course, typical of the world we live in, people will go and kiss the ring of the mushroom head, thinking it's something holy. Here's a bunch of mushrooms. Here's another bunch of mushrooms. Mushroom worship in the Christian church today is replete everywhere. There's a bunch of mushroom heads there. So time to say goodbye to all the mushroom heads.
So, hold on. Let me make sure everything is there. Okay. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Listen, the stuff that I have goes deeper than that, man. For example, you see you see the image of the mushroom. I don't want to sound explicit, but it's in a reference of you know what, of what's in between a man's legs. And then not just that, guys, but when you hear the word the pillar, that's also reference to in between the man's leg. So I say all of that to tell you guys, you really don't know what you're worshiping. Okay? You don't know what you're worshiping. Shout out RIP to the great, Jordan Maxwell, a man that did way more study. We're talking over 50 years of this studying. Not the brothers that's been doing this for 10 years and, reading here and there. No, this man actually went to the libraries. Like, I got all the intel, a lot of information from this brother, and he provides you with the sources. So it's not like you're just, yes sir, no sir. It's not one of those. It's literally, you really want to go down this rabbit hole? Just know that going down this rabbit hole, you're going to see things and hear things that's not gonna sit well with you. Okay? So when we go back to the Egyptian moral laws, which was already fulfilled, developed between 2400 and 1200 BCE, the Exodus narrative is traditionally dated around 1300 to 1200 BC. Okay? That means the ethical framework already exists. So if the story of Moses receiving the commandments is, how can I say that? If the story of Moses was given unto Moses, but there's literally documentations, historical documentations of the same similar story that predates the story of Moses, who are you going to listen to? After playing this video for you guys, you have to start doing your homework and start questioning everything that you guys are believing. Because like I said before, you don't know what you are worshiping. You don't know. And like I tell you guys before, this is not an attack on what you're going to believe in. This is restoring order for the black and brown people all over the world. Because let's just call it for what it is. This religion has failed you. There's no Sunni coming to save you out of your captivity. There's no Yahweh, Yahawashai, Yahushuhu, the cuckoos and the poo-poos coming to save you out of these circumstances. Not until we connect back to our ancestral roots. We talking about when we was in rulership before the invasion. And if we don't correct that, bro, we're going to forever be at the bottom, guys. And if you want to stay at the bottom, by all means, that's on you. But if you ready for that wake up, you ready to denounce that Jacob, that Abraham, all this Abrahamic religion, all of it is worship to the moon. Lucifer, Yah is the moon god in Egypt. How you say it in Egypt. The video said everything for you guys, bro. You have to start breaking free, guys. Our future depends on it. Stop allowing people to feed you the foolishness. These people don't know what they're worshiping. Everybody's just regurgitating what their teachers told them. I used to do it. until I started studying to show myself approved, not to know God, but to myself and to my ancestors, to the creators, to those that literally fought against this ideology, that had to submit to this ideology in order to preserve their bloodline, to allow me and you to be here right now to talk about this and watch this very same thing. Come on, guys. I see you guys putting things in the message. Let me see what you guys got in the chat, man. Cal, what's up, my guy? We're not even gonna talk about the Paulinian worship. Some of you guys don't even know that Paul is literally the Pope. Paul is the Pope. Paul was a Roman who came from Rome, who had every language, right? And sat in a position that was going to every church. Show me where James, Jesus, etc. was going to every church. Paul was the Pope. He was setting the foundation. Remember, Paul was the one that was persecuting anybody that was following the Jesus story. Remember what he did to Stephen or Stephen. Remember these things. You have to know what you're worshiping, guys. I have all the documentations for Paul. Maybe next week Saturday I'll bring that forth and you guys can get a full understanding. I will have to literally put it together, from front to back. So I have a binder full of that information. He was the first pope. All popes follow after Paul. Catholic follow after Paul. Remember, Paul was a virgin. He wasn't getting no vagina. That's another thing too. How you gonna go listen and follow a man that was afraid of women? You know what I'm saying? Like what? Was you a fisherman? You're afraid of women. You don't like women. You separate yourself from that. It's like, yo, bro, you're not even you going against the whole universal law. Be fruitful and multiply, pimping. You're not multiplying. You're not trying to preserve your seed. But that just goes to show you what we're dealing with, what we're up against. We're up against a machine that is literally being cleaned every single day based on the things that we seem to believe to be true. Or should I say to be factual, because there's no truth on this earth. But that's all I got for you guys. It's 11:06. Way past my bedtime. You know what I'm saying? Had to come out here today just to put an end to this mockery. And if you want more videos and more stuff like this, please leave it in the comments. Say, yo, bro, I love this. This is what I want. I prefer you to give me this and give you a commentary, because a lot of you guys are unaware of what you are worshiping. You don't know what you're worshiping. Okay? Sin is the moon god. Yah is the moon god. The moon god is also Yahweh. Yahweh is the God that you black folks are calling on to. And you're wondering why we're becoming weaker by the day. I'm talking about the black race. We're becoming weaker by the day. Even you Hebrew Israelites are weaker by the day. The reason why it doesn't show is because when you guys step outside, there's an adrenaline rush that makes you want to just But as soon as that rush is settled down, you guys end up in the same depressed state like everybody else, because what you're practicing is not true. What you believing in is not true. You understand? And with that being said, man, It was your brother man from the motherland. I came to you guys live. Like, comment, share. You know what I'm saying? Like this video, hype this video, share this video, take care of this video, store it in your archives, because you just never know what may happen tomorrow. Okay? And for those that don't know who I am, like I told you, I am him, Junes, the Honorable Junes, aka Mr. HNIP. You know what that stands for. I'll leave it as that. But always remember, guys, always remember, you must always respect your DNA. Are you dumb or are you dumb? And I'ma holla. One.